road begins, and history awaits. From countless hours in the weight room, from cold mornings and long bus rides, from beliefs forged in adversity, two programs have earned their place on this stage. The Montana State Bobcats, built on toughness, discipline, and relentless will to finish. The Illinois State Redbirds, driven by resilience, speed, and a season defined by heart. This is more than a game. This is tradition meeting opportunity. Legacy versus legacy. 60-minute stand between dreams and destiny. Welcome to the FCS Checkdown. Welcome to the FCS National Championship, where champions are crowned and stories are written forever. Yes, sir! It's the FCS Checkdown. Yeah, baby. It's the National Championship. Excited about it. Yeah, Keaton's fired up. Keaton Gillogly is joining us, the voice of the Montana State Bobcats, as well as John Fitzgerald, the voice of Illinois State. I'm Nathan McCreary, Coach Brandon Joseph, and Coach Ron Jackson. I'm so excited. I got y'all's names all mixed up here. Let me swap that. Oh, first of all, Keaton, John, thank you guys so much for joining us. They are both at the same restaurant in Nashville. Keaton, I'll start with you. How the heck are you? Thank you so much for your time here. Oops, Daisy, let me unmute you there, Keaton. There you go. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, feeling excited, ready to get this thing going. And to be clear, John and I are not at this restaurant together. We were sitting at different tables.
They're sitting at different tables. Not well, you look like you got a little scenic thing. John, thank you so much for joining us. This is a real thrill to have you both on here.
I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. This is great.
Well, let's go ahead and jump in. Obviously, our chat is going. They are fired up. Great to see everybody there in the chat. Make sure you like and subscribe to the show as we're going to get this thing started. Coach Jackson, you're there in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Brandon Joseph from Brandon, you're at home, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. I got sick kids, so yeah. I'm at home.
All right, so Brandon's up there in North Georgia. I'm in Acworth, Georgia, so we're going to get this show started. First, I'm going to get you guys to open it up, Keaton and John. Keaton, again, I'll start with you. Just give me what your 2025 ride has been like as a Montana State Bobcats, the voice of the Bobcats.
Yeah, it's been fascinating. I mean, this is a team that really had to turn the page after losing to another Missouri Valley team last year in the championship and said goodbye to a lot of legends last year. And there were a lot of question marks going into this year, and you had to go and start against an Oregon team that is as talented as any team across the country. But in that game, we saw Justin Lamson and a lot of the guys kind of prove something there. You know, they saw the toughness, they saw the competitive nature from Justin Lamson. From there, they came up short on a 4th and 1 in double overtime against South Dakota State, and that kind of set the tenor in a lot of ways because the Bobcats found themselves needing to get some of those 1 yards, including a big-time 4th and 1 in the win against Montana at Montana, and you can kind of feel that whole thing kind of come full circle. So it's been a ride. It does feel like they're really starting to come along right now.
John, same question for you. What a joy it's been to see this Illinois State team down this little bit of a roller coaster, but here you are. You got in the playoffs, one of the last 4 in. You've been on these road warrior kind of schedule. What's it been like in 2025 to be the voice of the Redbirds?
It's been a roller coaster. This was a ball club that, whether or not it was, I think, valid or not, based upon making the second rounds of the playoffs back in 2024 last year, it's a totally rebuilt defense, and I think that defensive unit went through a lot of growing pains, especially early on in the non-conference and in the early portion of even conference play. But, boy, since then, this ball club has really played well, especially on the road, the only loss being in the opener at Oklahoma and Norman. But it's a ball club that I think has gotten together from a unity standpoint. They played for each other. Guys have stepped up due to injury, due to the really being the first time where they've been the guy on the top of the depth charts. And it's been a fun ride to see just because it's been a lot of adversity for them to make it this far. But they've never really doubted themselves, and they've continued to believe with every kind of progressing week as this postseason has gone by.
John, I'll stay with you. If you have to, you're obviously looking at this game tomorrow. You've been scouting Montana State. If Illinois State is going to win this football game, what areas are you going to see that they've got to take advantage of?
Well, I think their defense has to be stout, and the running game and the big play opportunities for Lamson and their receivers and their running backs. I think keeping them a little bit on defensive schedule, I think, will be huge for Illinois State. And that was something that for the vast majority of the second portion of the season, so say 8 of the last 9 games that they have played, they've done a really good job of taking away the big plays, kind of eliminating big gains out of the running game. The rushing defense has been relatively stout. If they can kind of contain that two-headed monster of Jones and Davis, and obviously try to keep an edge and keep Lamson in the pocket, then I think Illinois State's got a good chance to do that. That's obviously easier said than done right now, but that I think is going to be the biggest key for them defensively tomorrow.
Keaton, I'll say the same question to you. If Montana State's going to win tomorrow, what is their key? What elements do they need to put it together?
I think one of the interesting things about this Bobcat team is there's not like one specific thing that absolutely has to go right for them. One of the things that Coach Vegan's been talking about really for his full 5 years here is complementary football. And this year has been one of the most complementary teams we've really ever seen. I mean, it has been so impressive how Justin Lamson has made the correct decision on, do we need to run the football or are we passing the football? What's the defense giving us? How is the ground game going to continue to go? And then on the defensive side, even if they've been put in a tough spot or they've given up a score, we haven't seen anything really slow down for them at all. And they've just been so good at playing that type of complementary football that if they just do what they need to do, that with how wide their berth of talent is, then they can get through it, because it's just so hard to game plan for this Montana State team right now, because you can't just take one thing away, and that's been the coolest part of it.
I think consistency is probably the word that we can say about Montana State. They've just been so consistent in everything. What has it been like seeing Justin Lamson and what he's brought to this offense?
Man, what a revelation. What a good kid. What a treat. You go from touchdown Tommy Malott to what he was now to Justin Lamson, who had been at 2 different FBS high P4 stops. And he has come here and found a place where his coaches believe in him. I think his real secret sauce, beyond how competitive he is, or tough, or his size, or his physical skill, is just how much his coaches and his teammates truly believe in him, who he is, and how he can play this game. And that has allowed him to play free. It has allowed him to be a true leader of this team, even though he got here, late in the spring. And it's just been so much fun to watch that continue to blossom, his belief from his teammates and coaches.
And John, we've been pretty critical of Tommy Rittenhouse at times during the season. What has he done in the playoffs from your perspective to really step up and lift the Redbirds on his shoulders?
I think Tommy's shown time and time again his ability to kind of lead this team and be able to shake off any kind of adversity. And you go back to that second round game in Fargo at North Dakota State where he throws 5 picks. A couple of them were deflected balls off receivers' hands first, but for the most part, he threw 5 picks, and still able to kind of coordinate that drive. He has a desire and a will to win that doesn't come around too often, and I think that's been a real key for this is not only the offense, but I think the defense, even at times as well, has been able to get on his shoulders and let him kind of lead the way. And to this point so far in the postseason, it's been the right key to success.
John, I want to ask you about this team and just their mentality a little bit, just because, nobody expected them to be here. I mean, this team finished technically 3rd in the Valley. They beat the second place team. They ultimately avenged the only loss, to the number 1 seed out of the Valley in North Dakota State. And, nobody's giving the Redbirds necessarily a chance. A lot of people aren't. And Vegas doesn't think you guys necessarily have a chance in the game. And there's 2 ways of thinking about this. And we talked to Coach Spack about this, and kind of, does that lead to having a Dorito on your shoulder, having that chip on your shoulder, or is this team coming in free and loose? I just want to know just your feel around this team as they approach, less than 24 hours now, about 22 hours or so until kickoff.
Yeah, I'd probably be lying if I said there wasn't a little bit of a chip that was involved in this team's shoulders. I mean, you go back to that Fargo game at North Dakota State, and I want to say they were 24.5 point underdogs in that game, and ended up winning. So That's something they're a little bit comfortable with, and I think Brock Spack has talked about this not only in the postseason but throughout. This ball club is not only really unified, but they're really comfortable being uncomfortable, and they kind of thrive in that aspect. So for them, this really isn't anything new from a standpoint of being shocking or a huge chip on their shoulder. I think they're unified. I think they believe, and I think they're prepared now to put their best foot forward. You go back to that regular season finale, and when you talk about kind of being one of the last few in, had they won that Southern game, they would have been at least a top 12 seed, if not a 9 or a 10. Unfortunately, they really just laid an egg in that final home game, final regular season game of the year. But I also, if that doesn't happen, I'm not necessarily sure that Brock Spack's ball club is playing for a national title less than 24 hours from now. I think that was kind of a wake up call they needed for them to kind of reinvigorate this club collectively, and go on the run that they're on right now.
Hey, Keaton, let me ask you. We've talked to, and I'm going to ask John the same question. But we've talked to you coaches, and we've heard about all the big name players, offense, defense. Give me somebody that maybe is a little bit of a sleeper, somebody that we don't know about on offense and defense that might make an impression on this game tomorrow.
Yeah, awesome question. I think on the defense, let me go with number 8, Carson Williams at the cornerback spot. This guy, man, he's like a bulldog. He is so ferocious. He never backs down from contact. He's such a willing tackler. He's a young kid, redshirt freshman, Texas kid, incredibly quick. So much fun to watch him go to work at the cornerback spot. He's the type of guy that could make a really big play. On the offensive side, I think I might go Dane Steele, number 84, redshirt freshman from Sheridan, Wyoming. Both of his older brothers played at Montana State, all-state wrestler in Wyoming, and you can see it in the way he blocks and the way he has that contact balance. And he's just so tough. He's tough as nails. He's absolutely just sun-soaked leather out there. So, yeah, give me Carson Williams at the cornerback spot, number 8, and number 84, Dane Steele on the offensive side.
Mr. Fitzgerald, same question kind of for you, if you don't mind. Somebody on the offense or the defensive side that maybe we hadn't heard a whole lot about that you think will make an impact on the game.
I think one of the guys that's been consistent hasn't had picks in the last couple of weeks, but I think Cam Wilson at quarterback. He's a senior. He's another Texas kid, and he's a guy that I think is primed, especially from a leadership standpoint, to really make an impact on the game tomorrow. On the offensive end, I think I'm going to go with Luke Maylander, who ended up being the Valley Freshman of the Year, redshirt freshman wide receiver. And he hasn't gotten a ton of targets even throughout this postseason, but he's been a guy with big play capability. He's got outstanding speed in the outside as a wide receiver, and I could see him playing a huge role in this game tomorrow.
Most important question, and I know, Keaton, you got to go, so I'll phrase this to you first, and then, John, you can answer if you agree or disagree. Who's got the better broadcast booth for tomorrow? I mean, there is, the home one, and then there's the visiting one, so who's got the better booth for tomorrow?
Well, I think the home radio booth is being used for national. I think I'm getting the visiting radio booth, and John's actually been up there. I haven't been up there yet because I had basketball last night. I think John is in the AD booth. Is that right, John?
I am in a converted radio booth that does not quite have all the bells and whistles. So
the disrespect continues.
So with the assumption we don't even make it on the air tomorrow, then
it's fine. You can listen to me. You can listen to me. It's all good.
We'll fire up the live stream, John, and we'll just do it that way.
Yeah, we'll fire it up for you. All right, real quick, Keaton, you're going to run out of here. Just tell me about Nashville. Tell me about the game being there in Nashville. Real quick, just your quick thoughts on the championship game there in Nashville and how they rolled out the red carpet for the teams.
Yeah, so far I've only been here about 3 hours because of our basketball schedule, but all I've heard is good things. I mean, Frisco, that stadium was old. The sight lines were tough, and Frisco is just a cement suburb of Dallas. So yeah. It is nice to be in a major city here. And it sounds like everybody's had a phenomenal time. And I look forward to seeing how it all looks over here over the next 24 hours.
John, how about for you?
Yeah, I was not around in the 2014 trip to Frisco for Illinois State. So this is my first national championship game. But I'll tell you what, I've been incredibly impressed over the last 24 to 40 hours that I've been here in town. I think this is it's a great venue itself, with tailgating options. The stadium itself is great at Vanderbilt. But I think the town and the proximity to the downtown, the ability for the fan bases to really get out, I'd be hard pressed to guess a better city for this to be kind of a long term partner with FCS football, because this seems like it's just a phenomenal venue right now.
Well, we shall see. Gentlemen, I know it's the time is tight. Keaton, thank you so much for your time. John, thank you so much for your time. Have a great broadcast. We'll be tuning in and checking out. And best of luck to both teams. It should be a great one. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Thanks for the coverage, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Keaton Gillogly and John Fitzgerald, the voices of Montana State in Illinois State. How freaking cool is that? They get to be there in Vanderbilt. It's time, gentlemen. It's freaking time. We're going to spend a little bit more time. We jumped in there real quick because Keaton has actually at dinner. And I saw some chat asking what he was
John's
having.
at dinner too.
That's true. John actually got up from the table and excused himself, and where Keaton was just hanging out and wasn't going to miss a beat.
He was hangry. Yeah.
He's
He had to
hangry.
eat.
He's just got in town. So we're going to talk with both these teams, offense, defense, special teams, talk about some keys. We'll make it quick. We'll do our predictions. Chat, also put your predictions in. I did put up there, Bo Brungard won the Walter Payton. Congratulations to him. We don't want that to go unnoticed, but it is about the national championship game today. As we prepare for tomorrow evening. Also said someone is the D3 championship tonight?
Yeah, the Stack Bowl is tonight in Canton, yeah.
It is tonight. Okay, wonderful.
One quick thing, and you guys asked about, the city of Nashville. I just want to say, I almost pulled the audio to play tonight, but when they announced this game and the three of us said this was a no-brainer, people will love it, and we were basically attacked and ridiculed about not giving Frisco the respect. And from people who are there now posting photos on Twitter about how much fun they're having and they never want to see it go back to Frisco. And they know who they are and they will be listening to it. Those people attacked us, and yet they're having the time of their life saying it should never go back to Frisco.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, people like tradition, and Frisco is probably, because the Montanas and the Dakotas, probably a shorter trip, I would imagine. But with flights these days, it probably doesn't matter all that much. But Nashville certainly is up and coming, and they've got the facility.
City, they know how to do it big.
Yeah.
The only knock you can give them is that the half-a attempt at painting the end zones, apparently we're going to see tomorrow night.
Oh, boy.
But if that's the worst thing to come out of it, that's the worst thing to come out of it. I mean, it's a divide of you don't know what you know, and a lot of people are set in their old ways. But this is big time, and I think people are getting to see for the first time. It is big time. Even North Dakota State fans who have everything to brag about. What's been the tally from them this week? We hope next year we get to go there to Nashville because it looks like such a fun place to be. Not a knock on Frisco, but Frisco sucks compared to Nashville in all forms and fashion.
It ain't going back to Frisco. If you look on social media, both teams have brought a ton of folks. They're having a great time. There is too much peach cobbler in Nashville for that damn thing to go back to Frisco.
Hey, well, hopefully some ham biscuits. All right, let's get into this. Montana State offense. We're going to compare these two teams as well. Points per game. You see the 38.1 points per game. 8th there in the FCS. Point yards allowed, 437 yards. Rushing is where they are lethal. 234 yards on the ground. That's 4th in the FCS. Passing yards, when they need it, they can do it. 202.6 yards per game. They're number 1 in completion percentage. Justin Lamson is 71.9% completions and number 6 in third down conversions. I'm going to tell you right now, if Illinois State is going to stop this team, they've got to get them off the field, and this is going to be something very, very challenging. As Coach Jackson, I'm not sure what's happening, but are you tipping your hand at at who you might be picking, or are you just doing it because we're talking about Montana State?
Well, you know what? We're talking about Montana, so I thought I would start it off, give it a little Nashville flair.
I like it.
So listen, I don't know what to say. Montana's coming in here hotter than fish grease. Got a great defense, got a great offense. this was nice too.
It looks like a kangaroo, to be honest with you. I hate to break it.
It does.
Yeah, that's terrible. The thing, I don't know what's going on with his ears.
It's going to go great on an Akron podcast.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh my gosh! Exactly.
So anyway,
Yeah,
this will give you an idea of where I'm leaning towards.
Yeah,
Towards
got
my
it.
pick, because again, I wouldn't have spent no money on the costume that I ain't gonna don.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Exactly. I got it. Well, Brandon, Justin Lamson, the run game, the wide receivers. Montana State is a machine. They can do it, and they do it on the ground, and I think that's where they wear these defenses down. Putting up 30 points per game, 37 points per game in the just the championships alone is big, and they do it on the ground. I think that wears these defense down. That's where Illinois State has got to be careful. Get a couple 3-and-outs, get a turnover to swing things, and you're going to have a chance to win this football game. But Montana State's offense is legit. That's the big concern. If I'm Illinois State going into this, that offense for Montana State is legit.
Yeah, and that's the big thing with this offense is that there's just so many options there. You can do a traditional, run pass option with Justin Lamson. They do have a threat or two on the outside that they can utilize in that game. They can do a typical, what we've become accustomed to with the read option, where you're reading the end or the edge mulch guy and making the determination there. And then you could just go with it's the new age of the triple option, whether it is a, give, keep, or throw out of there. I mean, there's a lot of different layers there, and it's all going to depend on how many Illinois State wants to commit at the beginning to the box. They can just, you trust a guy like Justin Lamson, and we talked about it in the Montana State preview. He's a highly touted kid. He didn't play a lot at Stanford. He was more the guy they brought in short yardage, big guy, to pick up a first down on 3rd and 1 or short yardage situations like that. But he is a highly touted thrower, and he's been places like Syracuse with Dino Babers, quarterback-minded coach. I mean, Troy Taylor at Stanford, quarterback-minded coach. He's a guy you trust that in those situations that he can get to the line of scrimmage, read the box count, and make a determination on where to go with the football. More times than not, he's going to be correct. So, that's a tough pill to swallow. If you're Illinois State defensively, you're going to have to contend against that first and foremost. You have to stop the quarterback. And what I mean by that, it's not just him dropping back, picking you apart defensively. You have to make him uncomfortable. You have to make him guess what's coming, where the pressure's coming, whether that's load and then drop at the snap. And he's going to have to be in a situation where he's thinking more than acting or reacting in that realm. And for Illinois State, there's a multifaceted thing that they're going to have to do defensively of speeding up his clock in his head and things like that, because that defense is so versatile at its core, and just the quarterback and the running back before anything else happens.
They're going to be the Montana State offense is going to be going up against this Illinois State defense. Take a look at their numbers. Not a whole lot that stands out as impressive. 25 points per game, almost 375, 80 yards per game. Rushing yards, allowing 132 yards on the ground. They do allow a lot of passing yards through the air. That might not be an issue, but they are number 3 in passes interception. They can turn the ball over. 19 interceptions, number 3 in the FCS, number 6 in turnovers gained, and I don't know where to go from here. But Coach Jackson has now donned the Redbird mask. Coach Jackson, we'll go ahead and start with you. Ty Niekamp is a player we've talked about a good bit this season. His dad is on the coaching staff, or is his uncle? I don't recall. LaShavion Brown, Shadwell Kuba III, and Cam Wilson is who they mentioned. John Fitzgerald mentioned as kind of a sleeper. This Illinois State defense has got some stars on it as well. What you thinking here?
Well, not only do they have some stars, but they've got some. They got some stars.
That's a Redbird sound.
Oh, well, it was.
It looks like something from Eyes Wide Shut being worn right now.
And anyhow, listen, on defense, they've got to get Montana State behind the chains. They've got to give up. They can't give up touchdowns. They can't give up big plays. They're senior. They got a bunch of upperclassmen. So I don't. I wish them well. I think they've got a good opportunity to do so. In the trenches, I think Illinois State may even have a little bit of advantage over Montana State as far as their defensive line goes. So, again, they got it. For them to have a chance, you got to knock the champ out. So for them to have a chance, yes, they got to get them slowed down. They got to get them behind the chains. They got to make them punt on fourth down.
Brandon, just a quick key. This Illinois, I know we talked about Montana State. I do think Coach Jackson's right. I was super impressed with them against that North Dakota State line. They won in the trenches. What are you thinking a key here for this defense is to maybe just change their fate because of this Montana State offense is so good? Now, this defense, by the way, has only allowed 19 points per game in the playoffs, and they've had a tough road, so they've shown resiliency.
It's twofold. I think Coach Jackson nailed one of them spot on. You got to get to your strength. You got to get them into third and passing. And be able to ball hawk and force, the turnovers with the interceptions and things like that. And how do you get there? Well, you're going to have to bring maximum pressure and minimal numbers. I mean, the less numbers that you have to bring to corral Lamson, and that's keeping containment around the edge and bringing middle pressure. Can you do that with 3? I don't know how you do, even though you have the size advantage, I don't know how you do that with 3, but you could potentially, because they do have the size advantage and Coach Jackson hit another nail on the head. I think that's very underrated, not being talked about enough. It is a big size advantage. There's some big boys for the Redbirds. They'll be able to fight in the trenches. If they're able to win those battles more times than not and keep contained, maybe get some front pressure, some middle pressure in on Lamson, you can find a way to stay to your strength and get to your strength in third and passing and then ball hawk or, play over the top and just rally to the ball and get them in the fourth and punt.
And just for the record, on third downs, they're about 50th, 60th in the FCS, allowing 40% chance. You got to find a way to get Montana State's offense off the field.
And really quickly, and we talk about these numbers, and that's great to have that point of measurement to see how good they've been over the course of the year. For one game tomorrow, they just need to be 1 of 2.
Yeah.
And that's as crazy and as stupid as that sounds. And I know a lot of people in the chat are, at some of the things that I say, but that's true. You just got to be better than them today or tomorrow in this case. It doesn't have to be, a course of your best performance of your life. You can make them be worse than they are, or you can be better than you've been.
And one down at a time, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. You one down at a time, and that's really where the key is. All right, let's take a look at this Illinois State offense. 31 points per game, 385 yards, 40th in the FCS, 170 yards on the ground. Victor Dawson has been absolutely awesome in the playoffs, and we are hearing that Rinkers Wright might be available for this one. That would be a great 1-2 punch for Illinois State, but they've got Tommy Rittenhouse who can run. He can also throw. He's been very effective at passing. They are the number 1 team in the country in first downs, 358, and the fewest penalties in the nation as well. Fewest penalties yards, 4th in the nation in the FCS. Talking about 2 big things, get your first downs and don't hurt yourself, Coach Jackson. Those are 2 elements of a recipe for success.
Yeah, and in past times I've said if Rittenhouse has got that gunslinger mentality, and if he plays like that, he kind of hurts his team. And I don't believe that anymore. I believe that's just the way he is. One of our guest asked about our costume budget. Well, I blew the costume budget on them first 2, so that's a wrap for me today. As far as
and next year,
yeah,
hopefully they come back and it'll be
yeah, and get my money's worth. But literally, offensively, he's going to have to take some shots down the field. He's going to have to stretch that Montana State defense. With the right kid being able to come back and play, that's got to add a little bit of motivation to some of the other guys that have played alongside him. I'm not so sure that's not necessarily an addition to help their offense, but I think it's an addition for motivation.
Yeah.
The Illinois State has a senior-laden team. Some of these guys will be playing their last particular ball game. Some of the Montana State kids aren't. They think they'll be back next year. So offensively, they've got to take some shots down the field, which opens up for their running game, and they got to stay on schedule. They got to stay in front of the chains. The last thing that they need is 2nd and 19.
Brandon, Daniel Sopkowitz has been an incredible wide receiver for this team. Everyone, he's talking about an NFL scouts looking at him. But it's the players that might be behind him that may be more important. Dylan Lloyd, Luke Malander, who we've heard from. Sopkowitz is going to be double teamed, and he's going to be bumped at the line. They're going to do everything they can to take him out of the weaponry for Illinois State. How important is it to find other players and kind of for Tommy Rittenhouse to mix the ball around to other wide receivers?
It's the ultimate thing. It's the only way you're going to win this game, honestly, if you're Illinois State. They will bracket coverage him. They will have some help somewhere, whether it's over the top, whether it's over the middle of the field, some way, shape, or form, because I don't necessarily think they're going to eliminate him from the game. You just want to minimize his impact. You don't want to take, a quick, little slant route that he can run that, happens, 6 yards past the line of scrimmage and it turned into a 20-yard gain. So I think they will have some help in some way, shape, or form to stop him or contain him in the best thing. I think for Illinois State, what they have to do is, because they do have weapons like the tight end as well, if you can get a mismatch, and listen, Montana State isn't going to line up and go, hey, we're going to have a linebacker or an end on this tight end, take advantage of it. You have to create that, and I think they can do that by using tempo. Because they have a lot of weapons, and Rittenhouse being one of them on the field, they can use that tempo. And let's say you get, to Coach Jackson's point, you got to definitely avoid second and negative. If you can get to like 2nd and 6 and get up to the line of scrimmage, no substitutions. Okay, probably won't get a mismatch there, but if you're able to get to 3rd and 1, okay, you can run it, pick up the first down, keep the tempo going. Well, then that next sequence of plays, that first down play, those guys have been on the field with no break for 4 or 5 plays. You can have an advantage there because, maybe a linebacker lines up out of position, or he's trying to cheat to stop the run. Or maybe you do some type of, switch or change in the formation at the line of scrimmage, and you can create a mismatch that way rather than just hoping you get one off the jump. So I think for Illinois State, that's going to be big for them, is getting that tempo and controlling the tempo of the game to where they can create that confusion and create their own mismatches because, Montana State does like to substitute a lot of guys. I've seen them on tape, that defensive line, and Coach Vegan even said it. They will play 6-7 guys on the defensive line. If I'm Coach Spack and the offensive staff, in my mind, I go, okay, you like to play 7 guys. Let's see if we can keep a whole drive and get points with you only keeping 4 guys on the field.
Right.
Or having to run one guy off and risking having offsides or the ball being snapped with a guy out of position.
One thing that Steve McKenzie just put in the chat, will this game also determine which conference is better? Coach Jackson, I'll go with you. I don't know how you argue which conference is better. I think Missouri Valley is the better conference. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Just because Montana State and Montana are there, it's just not as deep as what Missouri Valley brings. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there, but nobody cares about who finishes 6 through 12 or whatever. Let's look at the very top of the conference. If you look at the very top of the conference, I think both of them are, they're about even in my book, and I'm not so sure. Maybe Missouri Valley is a little bit better because of the national championships that they won. But if you look at the top 3 teams in both conferences, I think they compare pretty well. So I think it's more of maybe a little brother conference game for Montana State, but I don't know that they're playing for. I don't know that Illinois State is playing to hold up the MVC mantle per se.
Right. I knew Kobe would come in here with an O Nathan. Dedicated. Brandon, thoughts here? Big Sky, MVFC.
Yeah, I think it's really tough to try to gauge, which conference is better because you have North Dakota State that's been carrying the water for the Missouri Valley Football Conference for a long time, and I don't want to hear about South Dakota State. You had a good window. That's a great window right there that you had, and you maximized that window. There's a reason why Dan Jackson's able to tweet that I'm not losing any kids to the portal. Nobody came looking for him. So I think North Dakota State is at the top line. Yeah. They're clear and far away. So I think, if a matchup of the 1-1A of the Big Sky versus the 3-4 maybe of the Missouri Valley, I don't think that can change that very much.
I did see Lorenzo Fenner, the wide receiver from South Dakota, is one of the highly ranked transfers in the portal. So just saying that. All right, let's take a look at this Montana State defense. 18 points per game. Very, very stout. However, Coach Jackson, they've allowed 21-plus points here in the playoffs, including 13 points to Yale and 28 points to SFA. Kind of interesting. 116 yards on the ground, rushing 14th in the FCS, and passing 200-plus yards. Number one in defensive touchdowns. If Montana State's defense turns the ball, gets a turnover, and returns it for a touchdown, I think you can bet that this game is a lock for them. You do not recover from things like that unless you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who screwed it up yesterday. But anyway, and I know your Steelers are on, Coach Jackson. That's not lost on me either, because I know you're paying attention to that as well. But also, number 6 in passes intercepted. Coach Jackson, we know what this Montana State offense can do. They can put points up. It's going to be the defense that's got to stop this Illinois State offense. Keys for them here in this contest.
Keys for them is the same as it's going to be for Illinois State. You got to get off the field. You can't give up the explosive plays. If Montana State gives up 4 or 5 explosive plays, they're going to have a hard time winning this ball game. And defense kind of, in my opinion, also goes along with special teams. When you kick the ball, you got to have good punch. You can't have a 25-yard shank off the side of your foot. Championship games require championship pedigree, which requires championship play. So I expect I expect them to be prepared, but defensively, they're going to have to tighten up a little bit in the secondary more than anything. And I do think for Illinois State, if Illinois State can run the ball, then Montana State's secondary is pretty suspect and can open up some big plays for the Rittenhouse kid.
Brandon, Caden Dowler was injured. Not sure if he's going to be available. We haven't heard, but they got Cole Taylor, who's a fantastic defender. Bryce Grebe, who's had a big interception earlier in this playoffs. They've got some studs there also. If you're Montana State, what are you going to try and do to get that Illinois State offense?
Well, and I think Vegan has said that Caden Dowler will dress at the very least, and it could be smoke and mirrors whether he plays or not. Who knows? But I think, for Montana State, big concerns. Yeah, 13 points to Yale, probably a little bit of a concern. The points to the SFA, probably a concern. The points to Montana in the middle portion of the game, a concern. I think you take a look at the SFA and the Montana portions. Those middle points, and to Coach Jackson's point on that, they've shown in that back end that they will give up some yards. I think that's very concerning. So for Montana State, they got to play bully ball up front. They got to win the battle up front and to make it very uncomfortable for Rittenhouse to where, he's in a situation and, we talk about it and we were very honest even with, John Fitzgerald about it as well. Critical at times of Rittenhouse because he has shown the fact that he's a gunslinger. And when it goes well, it goes well. When it doesn't, he can throw 5 interceptions in the game. And part of that is because of pressure. He's making quick throws, throwing off his back foot, making the wrong reads when pressure's coming down. He's not reading hot. So I think you can create that environment if you're playing bully ball. Conversely, if you're going to do that, then the back end needs to play some better football than they have for the past 3 football games. And that's the big thing, at least the last 2, especially in the middle portions. And I know Coach Vegan came on, and when he talked about it, he said, I think we dominated in the football game. Well, you did that because Montana threw everything they had to get back in the game. But you were trailing, in a possession in the middle of the third quarter.
Right.
I think that's a cause of concern because if you're trailing in the middle portion of the third quarter against this Illinois State team and they have a possession, I think they have the ability to grind 6-7 minutes off the clock with ease, even if they only get 3 out of it. And that could be a concern later in the day. So I think this back end needs to play way better football than they have the last 2 games, and the front end needs to play a little bit more bully ball to create an uncomfortable environment for Tommy Rittenhouse.
Coach, you mentioned special teams. Take a look at Illinois State's, what they've done. Punt return average, not great, only 5.45 yards per return, but this kickoff return average with Chris Taylor is legit. 33 yards is his average. He already has a touchdown, a 91-yard touchdown. And their place kicker, Matt Maldonado, 10 for 17. He's got a long of 51 yards, but he has had 5 kicks blocked this season. You can't allow a special teams blunder. You can't, like you said, have that shank. You can't allow a punt block or a field goal block or, a muffed kick or something like that. But I do believe Illinois State has a weapon in their special teams, especially Chris Taylor on the kickoff returns. If this game comes down to it, I believe Illinois State probably has a better kicker and probably has the advantage in that category. But you got to keep it close, in my opinion, if you're Illinois State to get there. That's going to be the tough part.
Yeah, and you got to hold up front. You're right. 5 blocks is just incredible. I'm surprised that the kid still got the confidence to go out there and kick the ball. So kudos to him. Listen, I think Illinois State gets a couple of good returns. I'm not so concerned on the punting aspect because nowadays kids don't return punts no ways, and they fair catch them inside the 5-yard line. So as long as you don't have any turnovers in that side, you're in pretty good shape. But kickoff and kickoff coverage, I do believe is a paramount. And it really don't matter if you get 5 of them blocked if it's a tied ball game and you hit that 6th one. But I can't imagine. What I'd be interested in is where they draw his range at, because literally, unless you're willing to win the ball game, I don't know that you're going to kick a 51-yard field goal with the chance of it getting blocked or the chance of him missing it, and then you give him the ball to Montana State on the 40-yard line. Yeah. So that big decisions for Coach Spack, but I think kickoff and kickoff return, I think, is a definite advantage for Illinois State.
Brandon, how can special teams change this contest?
It could be everything. If you score a touchdown and let's say gets you within 3 or gives you a lead by 3 and you kick the ball off and you give up a return that they get the ball at midfield and everything you did was just undone. And I think that goes the same for both teams. Now, there is a belief in a close game. Flipping the field could be good. If I can pin you back inside your 20 and I get a punt back and I'm at, my 40, then I win the net. That old adage will always play true, especially with 2 old school head coaches like Spack and Vegan. I think that will always be a factor in there. But the big thing will be end of half scenarios. I think the end of the first half is going to be huge because if you have an opportunity to get points and you don't trust your kicker, so all of a sudden you get the ball sub 1 minute and you feel, okay, I got to get to the 20 to attempt a 37-yard field goal rather than the 30 to attempt a 47-yard field goal, that could undo everything for you, because if I have to shoot for the 20, I might as well shoot for the end zone at that point. So I think that could be big, the end of half scenario, in terms of field goal kicking and whether you line up for a field goal and you get it blocked there. So I think it could be a factor in the game. But honestly, if I'm looking at this and this game comes down to a field goal kick, then Illinois State has done a lot of things correct in this game. Yeah. And that's the big thing. If we're talking about a field goal game, Illinois State has done everything they need to do correct.
Yep, I agree with you. Just take a quick look. I'm getting some heat about saying Illinois State's kicking game is maybe better. Miles Sandstead has been fantastic. He's got 17 to 21, long of 48 yards. He only has had 1 block. Of course, Taco Dowler is a dynamic punt returner. And, obviously, the danger is you got to keep it close for special teams to come in and play, like Brandon said, and we shall see. We shall see. This is a 10.5 point spread right now, Coach Jackson. What are your thoughts on the spread? 10 points, 56 over and under, 56.5 is the over and under. You think this game could be a blowout, or are you looking for a more closer game?
Well, let me finish up on special teams. I do believe that Taco Dowler has a chance to impact the game on special teams like he's impacted their level. So to me, that'll lower that. I think a 10-point spread's a little high. Now, you're going to be surprised at this. I think 56 points is a little low. So I would take the over on the points. I think Montana State's going to give up some I think they're going to give up some plays. 10 points is a lot. And literally, that's another little sign of disrespect to Illinois State. And I believe they're stacking them Doritos on, I don't know which shoulder that they're putting them on or whatever, but I believe that they've taken all that in, and hopefully we'll come out to play Monday. Here's another thing. Honestly, I think momentum's probably going to be the determining factor in this ballgame. Montana State does a good job of taking advantage of momentum swings. Big punt return. Next play is a touchdown play. Big kickoff return. Next couple of plays, interception for a touchdown. So, if the momentum stays on Montana State's side, it could be a wash. However, Illinois State does a good job of managing momentum swings. I think they do that because they're a senior-laden team. So, we'll see.
We've seen FCS betting lines, things just go favor for. It's like not a lot of people paying attention to it, so we're not sure what But you just feel like Montana State is a solid team. Illinois State, Brandon, has done this road warrior thing. Iron sharpens iron. Matter of fact, their defense has been better than Montana State's in the playoffs, in my opinion. The stats bear it out. They've only given up 19 points per game to 21 points per game for Montana State, and they've had a tougher road to get there. What's your thoughts on the line, and just kind of how do you feel like Illinois State's chances are in this one?
Yeah, I think last week it was 11.5, so I think some smart money has come in on Illinois State. 11.5 is huge for a championship game. I think there is a scenario where this game could be a 7-point game, and then something happens, and Montana State covers late. I think that 10.5 is such an interesting number with gambling, especially in football. There, I mean, I don't envision a scenario necessarily where Illinois State could lose the game but cover, in a sense that I think Illinois State will always be in position to say, hey, we're going to go try to win this, and they're going to be on that cusp of, down 4 points, let's say, and they're going to go try to win it, and it may be an interception in their own, half of the field with like 4 minutes left, and Montana State gets the score, and now we're back at that 11 number. So that's the only thing I'm saying with that, of not picking Illinois State to plus 10.5. I think that's a tough number there. I mean, if you're going to believe that, you might as well take Illinois State to win the game.
Right.
If that's your conviction on that. But yeah, to your point with the number, I think there was an outrageous number to start. It started, I think, initially when these teams first won their semifinal games. I think it was like an 8.5. Then it shot up to 11.5, and now we settle at 10.5. So I think there was a little bit of course correction. I think a lot of money came in super early and super heavy on Montana State just because they beat Montana, and it was a lot of, let's ride this wave and throw the money on there. And that ballooned it up, I think, a little too high. But I think, championship games are not supposed to be 10-point spreads. So I just think, the game will play closer than that, but Vegas only cares about the final result. The final may be around that given some circumstances, but that's not an indication of, in my opinion, how this game will be played.
All right, Coach, let's go ahead and get to our predictions for this one. Give me a team, a score prediction, and what is the key to victory?
Well, for this segment of the show, I have a prepared statement.
Okay.
Without question, this is the toughest pick of the year. I'm like, oh my gosh, Montana State's rolling into Nashville. They hot as fish grease. Offense looks better than Beyonce before all them babies. Defense is looking as good as Kelly Rowland after she left Destiny's Child. Coaching staff prepared as well as a good meal from Paula Dean's place. Then I look at the landscape of college football today. Cinderella's still wearing her slippers in Miami. Clock hadn't hit midnight at Ole Miss. And just like those other two teams, Coach Spack's Illinois State team is on the doorstep of doing something historic. With all that said, you only get one chance at being a first in something. And with that said, who am I to pick against destiny?
Whoa. It's going. The coach is breaking the seal.
Well, if I could see where they
don't worry about it. We can see you, Coach.
Cacao. I am going with the Illinois State Redbirds, and
score prediction.
That's just how I feel. Boy, I got to get out of there.
Give me your score prediction. Coach Jackson?
31-30. 31-30.
31-30, Illinois State. All right, Brandon. I don't expect a long statement and a mask or anything. You just do you.
No, I don't have a prepared statement or a mask. There's nothing I can do to top that. That should have gone last. I think if we would have
Coach, you should have prepared
planned
me.
a little bit better, he should have gone last. I just think in this game, there's so many ways that Montana State can win this game. So many different variables kind of lead towards Montana State. Illinois State has one path to victory. It's really going to be tough for them to follow that path if they don't get started on it. I don't think this team can come from behind. With that said, there's still some major concerns. I feel watching Montana State. This is not going to be a fait accompli for Montana State, start to finish, wall-to-wall butt kicking of the Redbirds. I think the Redbirds are tested. They have the better victory in the playoffs. I don't care that, you beat Montana in Brawl the Wild Part 2. Illinois State beat the team that we all thought about 10 weeks ago was going to win the national championship running away. And they did it playing a very horrible football game. I see every scenario where Illinois State wins this game, and I would love it if they do. I just don't think that they are the better team with more paths to victory. Let's say it that way. And this is not a knock on Illinois State. I hope that they make this a 4-quarter game, and honestly, I hope that they win the game. I think it's a great story for FCS football, for a team that gets written off in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, goes through, beats the big dogs, and wins a natty. But I just think Montana State has more paths to victory, especially offensively. More things can go wrong, and they can course correct in there. So I'll take Montana State to win the game, and let's make it 34-30.
All right. So you got Montana State. I'll tell you this much. Seeing Ole Miss, like Coach said, Miami, these underdogs coming in, having no business winning. But Ole Miss won that football game against Georgia. Georgia did have a defensive touchdown. Georgia was outplayed, outcoached in that football game, and I went to UGA. So it's like not easy for me to say this, right? But I can tell you, consistency is so important. And that's where Montana State is. That's why I mentioned to Keaton earlier, consistency is what you get out of Montana State. But then you've got this underdog factor and being underestimated and all the kind of things. My big thing, this is what it came down to in my selection. My big thing is fourth quarter is one of the worst fourth quarters for Illinois State. One of the fourth quarter is the worst quarter for Illinois State in allowing points. Montana State is a team that wears you down. Look what they did to Montana. They can score points late. I'm thinking this one's close into the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, Montana State pulls away and probably wins 35-20 is my guess, and that's my pick. Montana State for me. I do think Illinois State has had an amazing year. I'm a huge underdog. I love seeing the underdog pull it out, and heck, I may buy me a Redbirds mask in if they don't win in shame. Wear the next episode, but yeah, I think Montana State is going to pick up this win. So that's a wrap. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Coach, final thoughts on this one. You're there in Tennessee. You're just down the street. We tried to get something together. We could all sit there and watch the game together. Not going to happen this year, but my goodness, maybe we can do it for next year. Find something. This show has grown so much. You chat have been so awesome this year. I really cannot thank you guys enough. We'll do a post-championship show to wrap up the season, but no doubt about it.
I think we should do a Q&A show where they just bombard us with questions.
I'd love it. And
we give honest answers, because I think there's a lot of questions out there that people have about the show and other things.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, we just you'd be like, hey, what do you think about Drake's offensive guard? You're like, I don't have any idea.
I'll tell you that I don't care. That's not the show. Go find a Drake
But-
fans podcast. That's fine.
Yeah.
We don't hate them.
No.
We want you. If you want specialized coverage, hey, listen, and I don't mean, and I know we're going to wrap this up. There's something that, I've produced a lot of shows here in Atlanta on Sports Talk Radio and syndicated Sports Talk Radio. There's a thing called Peter King theory. You will always know more about your team than a guy like Peter King because you follow your team closely.
Exactly.
But Peter King will know more about every other team and every other ongoing in the sport than you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we do. We don't pretend that we know more about, the Drake Bulldog fan podcast. That's not us. They will know the too deep. I don't care to know the backup quarterback for Drake. No offense to the dude. Don't know. You're probably a good dude. Not my MO, not my wheelhouse. I don't care.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Drake the rapper. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Listen, Coach, I'll let you go ahead and wrap up. We'll wrap this sucker up.
I'm going to be hunkered down in the basement tomorrow. Next year, I hope that we can all get together,
Me
maybe
too.
do a live show or something like that. It gives us a little time to plan. I'm going to be hunkered down in my basement. I got my Bartesian machine already loaded up with all the balls. I have thawed out all my flavors that I want to drink. I'm going to be snockered by kickoff, and I'm going to enjoy what I think is going to be one of the best ball games that we've ever seen. Congratulations to both teams for getting here.
Yeah.
I hope they've had a fantastic time, and I hope they lay it all on the line come tomorrow.
By the way, and before, Brandon, I'll let you wrap this up. Thank you to the SIDs for all the teams that we've reached out to and responded. And we got Coach Spack and Coach Vegan on this show the week of the championship. We got the play-by-play voices the week of the championship, the day before the championship. Thank you guys so much for at least understanding we do this because we love FCS. None of us are getting any funds for this at all. We do it because we love FCS football. Me and Brandon were on the sidelines at Kennesaw State as they were FCS team and realized there was not any decent FCS coverage, and we wanted to put together a podcast. That's how the whole thing started. It is true heartfelt love for these coaches and the players and the faculty and the staff that, like the SIDs, that allowed us to reach out and bring those coaches and play-by-play folks on for the show. But Brandon, give me your thoughts here, final thoughts here, and we'll wrap this sucker up.
Yeah, just to what you said real quick, we did this started when Kennesaw State played FCS football, and a lot of you guys had a lot of tweets about when they were 2-10. There ain't no more of those tweets coming my way right now. Where they at? I'm just asking. Conference USA champions, nobody tweets me anymore about how bad Kennesaw State is. I'm just saying it's more than welcome to continue to come my way. But no, credit to all, these two teams. I mean, the fan bases too. I mean, they ride along with this, unlike any other. I mean, when Illinois State barely got in, they felt the disrespect too. And that's a credit to them as well. So yeah, we thank the coaches and we thank the SIDs, the play-by-play people, mainly for looking at us that we're a viable outlet to cover the sport as well. And that's because the fans, respect us. They may not always like what we have to say, mainly what I have to say, but I think they understand that it comes from a passion of football, knowledge of football, and a belief in the game of football that we can, for the most part, all disagree and realize this is still football. And it's going to be a fun game tomorrow. I think both these fans should, drink heavily if that's your MO, because it's going to be uncomfortable for both you guys at the various points of the game.
It will
and
be.
Next year, I hope that we can do a live show in Coach Jackson's basement where I can drink heavily.
Hey,
Right.
Brandon drunk during the FCS championship, I'm in.
Could I have had any more people?
Yeah. Hey, like and subscribe to the show. Somebody push us up over 300.
Yeah, we're getting close. I don't know what we're at. We're at was it 265, 270, somewhere around there?
296 before we went on live.
No kidding. Okay, that's awesome.
Well, Nathan almost dropped an S-bomb. We're edgy too. 2026. New
Hey,
year.
it's a new year. It's new. Whatever the hell.
One of us will cuss every episode.
Exactly. Guys, you have been so much. By the way, thank you, Steve McKenzie. He is our moderator. He's helped us out a great deal. We've had him on the show earlier, although I think we had some audio issues. It seems like a season ago.
I love that question that he submitted.
What did he say?
Save that one. Oh, he wants to know my thoughts on college football divisions and changes coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
You got an hour? You got an
Good
hour
night.
because I can point
Next
out all the other podcasts that have it wrong.
Next week. R. Gale, we love you guys too. Ron, we love you guys. Brandon, thank you guys so much. Steve, the Steves, Hotchkiss and McKenzie and Kobe Cluth and New Age and Chris Monstrangelo and all the folks that have been so great. I'm trying to go through this and see who I'm missing. Timothy Orendorf, great to see you in the chat. Great stuff. CFB Smoke, love it. You guys bring the heat. I can't thank you guys enough for doing what you do. This has been the FCS Checkdown. Go enjoy the national championship there in Nashville. We will have a show later on the week to do the wrap up for the season. And please do like and subscribe. Get us over 300. That would be amazing. And we'll celebrate. We'll talk more FCS football later on this week. Go enjoy the football game. You guys have been awesome. For Brandon Joseph, for Coach Ron Jackson, I'm Nathan McCreary. This has been the FCS Checkdown. Let's go. Come on.